Okay, good evening students. Welcome to Saturday Live's discussion or a doubts corner session of Law Excellence. So what is the purpose of this program? Probably we are doing it for the last 2 months. Now we have revamped this program. How we are going to do it from today? First we will revise the topic which has come up in the news this week. After the revision, we are supposed to give you certain questions, that is, test yourself. After that, you can pose questions or doubts to us so that we can explain it. What is the process we have? First, there will be revision. After the revision, next status is test yourself. It means that we will give you certain questions, just think on it, and this test yourself is for recollection. And after the recollection, you have to go for doubts. It means clarification. So there are 3-stage process in the doubts or Saturday live session. One is revision of the content. Next is recollection. After that, clarification. These 3 RRC. Revision, recollection and clarification. This is what is this program. So today, the articles related to polity which are in the news are RTI and locus standi. You know that Chief Justice of India has made a statement that RTI is used for the harassment of the public officials. So we have to ask for the locus standi for the applicants. It means what is the reason he is applying for RTI, and he has to establish himself a connection with the case or connection with the information he is seeking for. So that is what we call it as locus standi. That article we have to talk about. The next is Citizenship Amendment Act. You know that agitation is going on across the country on Citizenship Amendment Act. So what are the various opinions expressed across various articles? You have Sampath article on this, and also Kerala Chief Minister Mr. Vijayan's article on this. We will try to look into this. And then right to protest. You know, section 144 and sedition laws, internet shutdown, all these are going for right against the right to protest. So maintenance of the public order has become important and primacy over the right to protest. The next is impeachment of the President Trump, which is ongoing in United States of America, and we shall understand what is the process and what are the reasons and what are the grounds, what are the constitutional provisions related to the impeachment of the President of United States of America. And then when we come to majorly economy, we have the open market operations and monetary policy committee, these discussions. And then skill development and bank mergers and cyber security. Especially a threat is being explained over here or expressed over here because the core banking solutions which are used by various banks are not one and the same. And then we have labor laws in India and how these challenges of the labor laws are. And on black money, we have one article in the editorial of Hindu. What it says is the black money issue or India's black money stashed abroad is misdiagnosed and overtreated. And then disinvestment, especially in the context of BPCL, a Navratna company. In the context of this disinvestment, this is also in the news. So these are the articles which are there in the news. We will revise one by one article and then test yourself. You are asked to recollect, and any doubts you get, you are asked to question us. This is how we are going to move forward. The first article, a duty to publish, where it has come up in Hindu on December 19th. It's an editorial in Hindu, December 19th. It was given to you in your deep notes. So the Hindu 19 December 2019 article. So what is the essence of this article? So why RTI is failing? You know that Right to Information Act has come into existence by a parliamentary law in 2005. When this RTI Act was enacted, what the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said, it is the missing link among the fundamental rights which are existing in India. So why RTI is important? It is the vehicle for transparency in India. It is the vehicle for transparency in India. So, in this case, RTI, any citizen without stating any reasons can ask for the information. But what is the major criticism of RTI? It is being used to harass the officers by some miscreants. So, for this, what the solution suggested by the Chief Justice of India? That is locus standi. It means previously, as per the section 6 of the RTI Act, the citizen need not state any reasons why he is seeking information. But once the locus standi comes, he shall not only state the reason and how he is connected and how he is interested in that information also have to be stated. So, what this article says is the failure of the RTI is for two reasons. What are the two reasons? The first is proactive disclosure of information. So, proactive disclosure means what? Even before anyone has asked for the information, the public authorities who are constituted under section 2H of the RTI Act shall disclose the information. This is what we call it as proactive disclosure of information. Next is we have pending cases with information commissions. Information commissions have become ineffective due to huge pile-up of the cases. Why? Low capabilities for the information commissions. Because of low capabilities, there are many pending cases. In this case, an RTI audit was also done by the government. In this RTI audit, only 30% of the departments have replied and 90% of these departments' functions is not satisfactory. So, the locus standi will increase the unnecessary litigation related to RTI, and also it deprives the essence of the RTI, that is access to information. So, this is the essence of the article. RTI is the instrument for transparency in India. The locus standi can be able to undermine its instrumentality. That's how we can say it as. Even today, RTI is criticized as a gun without firing power or a gun that can never fire. It is because of the pending cases. You know that only punishment can happen in RTI is penalty of 250 rupees per day on public official to the maximum of 25,000 rupees. So, if information commission cases are pending for next 20 years, 30 years, what will happen? No one will not be serious about this. That is what is the issue. Now, the next part is, we have to take doubts, test yourself. Test yourself is for what? Recollection. So, this article is for what? Revision. The second is recollection. So, what you need to recollect once you go home? What are the provisions of the RTI Act and what does locus standi means? Do you support voluntary dissemination of information? So, this voluntary dissemination of information, which is also mean proactive disclosure of information. So, next is locus standi. So, what does this mean? So, what does locus standi mean? What is the stand? On what standing you are seeking that particular information? So, normally, if you talk about courts, courts have to seek information, or else if I have to file a case in a particular court, the first rule that has to apply is I shall be a party to that particular case. Unless I am a party to that case, I am seeking some redressal, I cannot go to the court. It means, how are you a party? How come you have the stand on this particular issue? That is what we call it as locus standi. Now, we have finished this article. First, what did we do? Revision. The next, what did we do? Recollection. Now, the third thing is, what is this? Clarification. Clarification, whatever the doubts you have, post them in this particular live chat. I will be collecting them and explaining you the answers. Now, let us see what all the doubts that have come up. Thaddi Nagamani, she has asked me, explain locus standi. I have already explained locus standi. what is the stand or the reason you have to seek this particular information. It means that how are you an interested party to this particular information, you have to explain to the officer whom you are seeking the information with. Next we have Shiva Shankar. Shiva Shankar is asking a question. Please explain section 2H of the RTA Act. What is section 2H of RTA Act? It defines public authority. What is meant by public authority? According to section 2H of the RTA Act, any authority appointed by the Constitution or by the executive or by the law of the Parliament, either at union or state level, this can be defined as public authority. And the second, any organization substantially financed or controlled, remember the word, substantially financed or controlled, will also by the government will also come under the definition of public authority. But the problem is this word substantial is not defined. Okay, if the word substantial is defined, public-private partnerships, NGOs which are getting money from government, everything could also have come under the RTA Act. They also were expected to be transparent. Hope you understood this, Shiv Shankar. And then please ask the questions related to this particular topic so that others also can understand the doubts. Next is, Shiv Shankar has another question, that is, what is the significance of the recent amendment to RTA Act with respect to information commissioners? Now, what was the amendment? Let us try to understand, Shiv Shankar. Information commissioners used to enjoy autonomy. It means that they can be removed from the office as like the election commissioner. So, this autonomy, election commissioner can be removed as like the Chief Justice, that is judges of the Supreme Court. So, they cannot be arbitrarily removed and their service conditions are fixed for 6 years. Now, what the central government said, it can determine at the time of appointment the service conditions of the central and state information commissioners. So, where government is or likes to be secretive, but information is a tool for the empowerment of the citizens. Is government will be interested in giving the information, Shiv Shankar? No. As government is not interested in giving the information, RTA is making it mandatory. That's why they try to take every opportunity to undermine the RTA. So once the autonomy of the information commissioners is gone, Information Commission becomes a puppet in the hands of the government. This is ultimately going to affect the transparency framework which is there in the country. That is why it has been stated that it is an assault on citizens of India. Any dilution of the provisions of the RTA Act is an assault on the citizens of India, on the empowerment of the citizens. That's how it has been stated as. Srikant Ramadi. Is this amendment is directly undermining the transparency and accountability of public authority? So, directly when you ask the question, so autonomy of the Information Commission is essential for ensuring transparency and accountability. So, that's why obviously it will be undermining those two. Next is, what are the merits and demerits of locus standi? That is Muhammad Sulaiman's question. So, if you go to RTI, Public Authority, Public Information Officer wants to file an RTI, he will ask a question, how are you related to this information? You have to substantiate. Then obviously, he will have the discretion either to accept your application or not. See this, Suleiman. He will have a discretion either to accept your application or not. So, if he do not accept the application and do not give you any number, what will happen? So, you don't need to divulge any information to you. Now, when he is not accepting the application, you have to go to Information Commission, which is already overburdened. Then, or you have to go to courts. This entire thing is going to kill the transparency regime. Next is, so many of them are asking for Citizenship Amendment Act. Next discussion is on that. Now let's go for Sushmita Pujar. Sir, please explain RTI provisions. I have already tried to explain. Let us see this RTI provisions. What is the RTI provision? Any citizen of India can seek information from public authority, and public authority has to appoint public information officer who has to divulge the information within 30 days. If it is related to life or liberty, it has to be given in 2 days, that is 48 hours. If they fail to give the information, the matter will go to Information Commission, and he can impose the penalty up to 250 per day to the maximum of 25,000 rupees. This is the essence of RTI Act. Now, next is Section 144 of, these are all the upcoming questions, don't worry. Just confine yourself to the topic on discussion so that everyone gets interested in this. Now, with regard to RTI, there is another Supreme Court judgment, that is the office of CJI also comes under RTI, which is kind of a strength to transparency regime in India. Next is Sonu Saharwat. Yes, Sonu, bringing the judges under RTI will bring in transparency in judiciary. Understand one more thing, wherever the transparency is also an instrument for accountability. So transparency always comes with its Siamese twin, that is accountability. Now, so again, why previously the CJI office was kept outside the RTI, saying that making people to know everything about the judges, about the functioning of the CJI will undermine the independence of judiciary. But when we have to accountability of judiciary and independence of judiciary has to be balanced, obviously the RTI, bringing them under RTI, limited functions of them under the RTI is essential. Hope I cleared that particular doubt. So, is Supreme Court a public authority? Yes, definitely Supreme Court is a public authority. Saurav Baisala. Next is, so does bringing in CJ under RTI Act is interfering in judiciary, sir? No. It has come, CJ office has come under RTI through the judgment of the Supreme Court. So, sir, now Information Commissioner is under doctrine of pleasure of union government. Doctrine of pleasure is used in a specific context with regard to public servants who are IAS officers. Remember carefully, under Article 310 of the Constitution, that where the doctrine of pleasure is there. So, public servants enjoy their office during the pleasure of the President of India, and then Information Commission shall not be seen as a regular public servant's office. Let's take district collector or some secretary is there. He is a public servant. Now, Information Commission is a legal, it has certain standing. So, it has come into existence through law. So, here the concept of doctrine of pleasure explicitly do not apply, which applies in the case of regular officers. Now, grow up IAS. How is RTI reality in ground level like village level? Remember, Right to Information Act, in India, legal literacy, what is the level of legal literacy grow up IAS? The legal literacy is very less. Even it is either RTI or for that matter any law, the legal literacy is very less in India. Next is, sir, please elaborate on proactive disclosure, Jagirdar Vaishnavi. Proactive disclosure of information, it means, let's take government MG Narega information is there. Even before someone has asked for it, if it is available in the website, if tomorrow someone files an application for that, please go and check that information. That is the answer we can give. That is what we call it as proactive disclosure of information. Next is Nagamani. What is voluntary dissemination? Voluntary giving of information, even without anyone asking for the information, if you give it, that is called voluntary dissemination. Ramya Reddy Pulluru. Sir, exceptions from RTI. Any matter related to the national security, intelligence, integrity of India, or any matter India is sharing or India is receiving from the foreign countries, or any matter that can damage the relations of India with another country. Third party information, cabinet related information, all these are the exceptions from disclosure under RTI. That is what is Ramya Reddy. Next is Maunesh Dore. Sir, RTI applying all the state or exceptions. RTI is a law passed by the parliament, applies everywhere. Sir, SP, is the amendment to dilute the tenure of CICs, ICs in the name of preventing misuse of RTI Act is justified? As I already made my statement, Mr. SP, that is any kind of dilution of the autonomy of the Information Commission is an assault on the transparency regime in India. That is my opinion. Next is, now I think I am closing this particular topic. We'll move on to the next topic. Almost we spent around 10 to 15 minutes on this topic. 20 minutes on this topic. We have to move on to the next topic. So I hope I have explained the topics. I am moving on to the next topic, sir. The next topic is Citizenship Amendment Act. Get your weapons ready on Citizenship Amendment Act. Fire the questions. So before going into this, what shall we do? Revision. The next part is recollection. After the third part is clarification. So get your questions ready. First I will be explaining the things. Focus on the explanation. Most of the students repeat what is being explained, and then test yourself is for recollection and then clarification. Now, there are two articles today. There are two articles which we are talking about. Not two, there are many articles actually on Citizenship Amendment Act. On 17th of December, 18th of December, 19th of December, editorials spoke about Citizenship Amendment Act with different names. The first article is Mr. G. Sampath. It's a beautiful article. Again, are fears over the Citizenship Amendment Act misplaced? Let me explain this. Listen carefully what Sampath has said in this article. See the pattern or connection between Citizenship Amendment Act and National Population Register. National Citizen Register, which is going to become. Now, let us understand this clearly. First has come Citizenship Amendment Act, followed by the next National Register, Citizen Register or Register of Citizens. Let us understand the CAA. What all the major religions India has? Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Jains, Buddhists. Like this, these are the major religions which India has, 6. Now, under the Citizenship Amendment Act, the people who have come from 3 countries, majorly we have immigrants, illegal immigrants coming from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and then we have Afghanistan. So the people are coming from these 3 countries. So all the people except Muslims. Why? Only the minorities are allowed from here. So then, among the religions in India, which religion is excluded? Only one religion. So, if among all these religions, if you are excluding majority in these 3 countries, what is the remainder? Only the Muslims are the remainder left over. So, let me give you a hypothetical situation. Tomorrow, National Register of the Citizens has come up. Now, government will ask you to come and prove your citizenship. Then, in those cases, if a Hindu failed to prove his citizenship, what is his consequence? Will he get a kind of leewage to get the citizenship under Citizenship Amendment Act or not? Though I am the citizen of India, when I fail to prove my particular citizenship, I can be considered as illegal immigrant, yes or no? In those circumstances, what will happen? For a Hindu, he gets the protection through the Citizenship Amendment Act. He can apply for citizenship. Then what about a Muslim? If he is unable to prove his citizenship through one or the other way, then obviously will he have any kind of solution under Citizenship Amendment Act? Nothing. So that is the problem. So today Citizenship Amendment Act is passed. Later the Citizen Register will come up. When it comes up, so any Muslim who fails to prove his citizenship can be automatically called as illegal immigrant and can be thrown in a deportation center. The problem is not with CAA. The problem is with this population register. And the second thing, the threat of omission, where the liability lies to prove oneself as citizen. Where the liability lies, who has to prove himself as the citizen? It is the person. So it means, what is the problem in Assam? Threat of omission. It means by mistake, if from that registry, if my name is removed, if I am a Hindu, I can get certain redressal from the Citizenship Amendment Act. But what about the Muslims? They may not get the redressal under they will not get the redressal under the Citizenship Amendment Act. Now, many people are saying it is for the illegal immigrants. Why the citizens here are getting worried? I am worried because I have the liability to prove that I am the citizen of this country. There is a liability to prove that I am the citizen of this country. So, if I fail to prove, or if officials fail to accept me as the citizen, then what is the consequence to me? It means I will not be considered as a citizen of this country, and I will not be considered as a citizen of any other country. Then I end up as a stateless citizen. It means I become like a Rohingya in India. That is what is the biggest worry over here. The next part of this, he has given two beautiful examples. Okay, everything happened in fair manner. So, every person who is living on this land is recognized as a citizen. Okay, let's think the government is fair, it is concerned about its people. So, but NPR, this can be used to regiment, to divide the people through hate speech or not. Already during the time of elections, we have seen lot of hate speech rhetoric. In India, the religions are getting regimented. Hindus, Muslims, previously caste regimentation was there. Because of this regimentation, ultimately it can lead to certain kind of permanent differences between the people. There was one beautiful statement stated by Nani Palkiwala. What was that? The trust the people enjoy in their government, that it will act bona fide in the interests of the citizens, is the biggest asset of that particular country. Remember again, the trust which the citizens enjoy in their government, that this government will act in our interest, that is the biggest asset any nation or country can have. If the citizens of that country become suspicious of their own government, then the country will face certain untoward consequences. This Nani Palkiwala statement is the most important for you to remember. And everywhere, this exclusionary citizenship laws, where we try to exclude certain sections from the benefits of citizenship, how did they end up as? How did they end up as? Simple thing. How did they end up as? So remember one thing. In Germany, before Second World War, during the Hitler regime, citizenship exclusionary laws have come up. In Myanmar, against the Rohingya, citizenship exclusionary laws have come up. Finally, it has led to the persecution of those people. That is what is the worst fear over here. One is hate speeches are the great grounds for genocide. That is what UN report on hate speech says. They are the ground for that. Next is Vijayan's article, Time to Defend India's Secularism. So, what he says, 3 points. It is violative of right to equality. And today, Mr. Subramanya Swamy has another article to counter the Vijayan, which we will see it later. And the second is, it is also against the human rights. And third, it is meant to create an Hindu nation. A Hindu nation. So, it is a step towards the creation of Hindu nation. So, how is it violative of equality? Because a particular section of people based on religion are being discriminated. What is the argument Mr. Vijayan is making? Article 14 applies equally for both citizens and non-citizens living on this land. Equality before law, rule of law has to be the same for every citizen who is living on this land. Either he is a citizen or non-citizen. You cannot have separate set of laws. You cannot discriminate between the people. That is what the Constitution says. So in this context, as you are discriminating one community, the right to equality is getting affected over here. That is the Vijayan's article. And the second, what is the criticism about this Citizenship Amendment Act? You have selected only 3 countries. If you see, Hindus are facing, Tamilians are facing persecution in Sri Lanka. Why haven't you invited them? Many of the Tamilians has crossed the border and entered into India. Then, during the times of civil war, what about them? What about the Rohingyas in Myanmar? Why can't you invite them? That is, only few countries were selected. And the third thing over here is, if you go to Muslims among these 3 countries itself, Ahmadiyas, Shias, these are facing one or the other trouble in Pakistan. Why can't they be given an option? So, this is how the criticism of this is, as it is also violative of human rights because certain refugees who have sought or who have got the fears of persecution entered in India. In this context, we need to understand 1971 situation. In 1971, the Bengali people crossed the border, and these people have faced persecution not based on religion but based on language. See, Mujibur Rahman, when he won the elections, the West Pakistan do not want to transfer the power to Mujibur Rahman. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the opponent there. In that circumstance, then the West Pakistan sent military to suppress the uprising which has happened in Bengalis. Bengalis have a lot of self-respect. So these people, it means those Muslims also have crossed the border along with Hindus there in East Bengal. Why? The matter was more language rather than religion. It's Bengali nationalism rather than Muslim nationalism, Islamic nationalism or whatever it is. It is Bengali nationalism then. So that's what is the Pinarayi Vijayan talks about, the Kerala Chief Minister, in this particular article. Hope I have explained this. Next is test yourself. We have completed revision. Now we are going through recollection. How does the Citizenship Amendment Act affect the features of our Constitution? We have discussed right to equality under Article 14, and the second is principle of secularism. Principle of secularism in India is equal treatment of all religions. And what is secularism? Indian secularism is based on Sarva Dharma Samabhavana. It means treating all religions equally by the state. Next, do you think CAA affects the observance of secularism in our country? Now, you need to make an opinion on this based on the explanation and articles which you have read. Now, we are moving into the third stage. What is the third stage? Clarification. Let us see the questions which are being asked by the students. Okay. So, the new topic has started. What is Ramakrishna Karan? What is the relationship between CAA and NRC? So, Citizenship Amendment Act and NRC. So, NRC, it makes an obligation on the person who is living in this country to prove his citizenship. It means there is a threat or fear of omission. If you see Assam, the citizens are afraid that their name will be there in the final list or not. If there is no name, what will happen? You become stateless and you will be put in detention centers. And what is CAA? CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act. So, the people who have come to India as illegal immigrants before December 31st, 2014 will or can apply for the citizenship. It means just within 5 years they can get the citizenship. What are the communities which are eligible? Other than Muslims, all the communities living in India are eligible. So, this is how we can relate CAA and NRC. Mr. Karan and Bharat Nayak, I think I have answered your question. Next is Delta Force. Will the video be available after the live session? I think technical team has to answer that. Sachin KP, is Citizenship Amendment Act violates Article 14? As I have said to you, Article 14 applies to every human living in the boundaries of India. Either he is a citizen or non-citizen. According to Mr. Vijayan, the argument is Article 14 is violated as there is a discrimination based on religion. And what was the counter given by the Subramanya Swami for this? Article 14 has equality before law and equal protection of the law. Law will be applied equally among the equals. As there are minorities and majority population is facing persecution. That's why you cannot equate minority and majority. So that's the reason why the Article 14 equals being treated equals, that will apply rather than treating everyone equal. That is what Mr. Subramanya Swami says on to this. Next is differences between CAA and NRC. NRC is a register which consists of the name of every person living on this land, every citizen living on this land. Citizenship Amendment Act, it is a law to get the citizenship of India for few people coming from few countries who are facing persecution. They are facing threat of persecution. I am worried how the authorities will determine that. Did they face the persecution or threat of persecution? How can you establish a threat of persecution who is coming from another country across the border? And how India's relations are going to be with Bangladesh or Pakistan? That's how we have to see it as. And we'll wait and see. CIA violates Article 14. Yes, I have explained Mr. Vijayan's discussion, and also I have explained to you what is Subramanya Swami's counter to it. What will the government do with all the illegal immigrants? In Assam, government says it will send them to detention centers and it will negotiate with the Bangladesh to deport them. But we have to wait and see. On what basis Pak, Afghanistan and Bangladesh are selected? So here, Myanmar and not the Rohingyas of Myanmar. Remember carefully. The Subramanya Swami has given an argument. These three countries are theocracies. In a theocratic state means where the religion is the basis for the government and governance. These three countries are more becoming like theocratic states. That is the opinion. But Bangladesh is not a theocratic state, Pakistan is not a theocratic state, and Afghanistan today is not a theocratic state. So what he said, they are trying to become like a theocratic states. So in a theocratic states, minorities may face the challenges. That's how it has been stated. Next is Suleiman. What is, I missed the question. So Suleiman, what was Gandhi Liaquat Pact? Sir, that's history question. I think I'm not so good at history questions. Srikanth Ramedi, sir, India has 1/3 of the world poor. What serves union government allowing aliens from Pak, Afghan and Bangladesh? Already India will surpass China in coming future. Global Hunger Index ranks 102 of 117. Now, you make a policy outrightly. Srikanth, I will tell you this way. Do not discriminate. You want to send all the illegal immigrants, send them well. Send them all. No problem at all. Have the uniformity across all the people irrespective of what they belong to. So that is what is the value of the Constitution. It's not we are feeding them. So at the same time, a matured progressive nation has to be more concerned about the human dignity, human life and human values. So entire justice across the world is based on these three words: human life, human values, human dignity, etc. So that's why if your next person to you is dying with hunger, is being persecuted, can you remain silent? Don't you think these all boundaries are more or less artificial? If you see human life as the ultimate end, human dignity as the ultimate end, don't you want to stand for the person next to you who is facing a threat of persecution, Srikanth? That's how I will answer it, Srikanth. And the second, very beautiful question, Srikanth. Why we are not signed the UN Refugee Convention too? So this is what I said to you. If you want to give them the citizenship, apply it uniformly, get into UN this Refugee Convention. So then UN Refugee Convention do not discriminate the people based on the caste, creed, religion, sex, etc. Why you want to bring in exception to certain religions? That's what is the question of Citizenship Amendment Act. Next is, why selected 3 Muslim countries? I have answered this question, Mr. Mastan. The threat of theocracy, that is the answer of the right wing. What is the relationship between the clause 6 of Assam Accord, Mithila Kasiridi? Can we say that CAA is contradictory to NRC? Assam, let us understand. So when 1971 crisis and thereafter, which is the state that has faced the greatest influx of population from Bangladesh, then East Pakistan? It was Assam, Bengal, Tripura. These are the states. Then in the Assam Accord, what it was stated, Rajiv Gandhi, when he was the Prime Minister, this accord has come into, I think March 24th, 1987, if I am not wrong. Any person who has entered India after this 1971 crisis, these have to be deported back. And people who have entered, they do not enjoy full citizenship rights. But what is happening? We are giving them the citizenship today. So Assam Accord, what did we say? The people who have entered after the crisis, these will not be considered as refugees and they will not be given any citizenship benefits. But this Amendment Act is promising them the citizenship benefits. It means they get political rights, their sons and daughters becomes the president or prime minister, they have the economic rights, everything in this land. That's why the agitation is so much in Assam. Next is, sir, tell about Global Refugee Forum, Krishna Veni Gouda. What is Global Refugee? What is Global Refugee Forum? Global Refugee Forum. So here Imran Khan went all the way to, I think, Geneva somewhere, and he said that India is misbehaving with Kashmiris. So he has spoken a set of lies at Global Refugee Forum. With the help of UN and Switzerland has started this forum. The first summit has happened this year and Mr. Imran Khan was present there. That is what I know. I still am not able to comprehend how is it attacking or targeting Muslims. Please elaborate. Thakur, I am not saying that it is targeting Muslims. It is excluding. I am not talking about Hindus or Muslims, anything, Thakur. Remember here, tomorrow when the National Citizen Registry comes, the liability lies on to me to prove that I am the citizen of this country. Yes or no? So, the next question. I will have Aadhaar and everything, I can prove that. But poor and vulnerable, they may not have sufficient proofs to prove themselves as the citizen of this country. They may not have. Then, in those cases, they all will be considered as illegal immigrants or not? What do you say, Tagore? They all will be considered as illegal immigrants. In such a case, these illegal immigrants have to be deported or detained as per the laws. But illegal immigrants who are not Muslims as per this act, they can get a redressal. That is, they can apply for the citizenship under the Citizenship Amendment Act. Then what about the Muslims? Do they have any redressal like that? So, I am not worried about the people who are illegal immigrants, but the people who are Indians but do not have sufficient documentation. How to treat with them? They suffer from this threat of omission from being part of National Citizen Registry. That is how it is going to affect the Indian citizens. That is what is Thakur. Hope I made you understood this. Sir, can we expect from Supreme Court to make this act null and void as it violates 14 of the Constitution? Mr. Sheikh, Fayaz Sheikh, there are two things. Treating all the citizens equally, all the people who are living in this country equally is one part of the right to equality. Treating equals as equals Unequals unequally is part of right Article 14 itself. There are two provisions: equality before law, equal protection of law. Law has to be protected equally, applied equally among the equals. So the right wing is taking the protection under the second provision. You cannot treat majority and minority on the same lines because the minority of these three countries is facing persecution. But the empirical evidence or history says that these are not facing this. The persecution is not just based on religion. In 1971, the persecution is based on language. Bengali people were persecuted who are the part of East Pakistan. Next. What are the articles related to citizenship in the Constitution of India? You know, 5 to 10. 11th article says that Parliament can make the law with regard to that. Now, here my job is not to differentiate the things. It is to give you clarity, make you get marks. So, let's not confront or contest anything. Let's get the clarity on the things. I said clarification, revision, recollection, clarification. Srikanth Ramadi, you are very active, Srikanth. USA is interfering in India's internal matter. Sanctions on Amit Shah and putting India under country of religious concern. So USA thinks itself as a world police. Then what about the Trump's comments against different sections of the people, African Americans in USA? Yes, directly spoke about Congresswomen. So that is what I call it as psychophancy. I cannot say more than that. America is a country that is different. Let's not talk too much about it. Now, Article 15 says no discrimination on religion or place of birth, race or place of birth. Yes, but Article 15 is only is the ground. Remember one thing, there is a word called only. You cannot discriminate a person only on the basis of that, right? If you are discriminating only, then it is violative of the Constitution. Let us see how the Supreme Court gives the interpretations. YNBNANIM. I don't know what your name is. Shivkumar. Srikanth. Next is how CAA impact on international relationships. Now, when you are saying that I am accepting the persecuted citizens from Afghanistan, Pakistan and Bangladesh, don't you think you are trying to tell to the international world that the human rights are not good over there? Already Afghanistan expressed a concern and Bangladesh previously expressed a concern onto that. So, it means you are giving citizenship to the people who are persecuted. It means you are saying that there is some persecution happening in the other country, they get offended. Next is, can we relate CAA's religious exclusion with philosophy of two-nation theory? Now, it is yes, there was a discussion in the parliament on these lines. The two-nation theory, the Congress argued that it was the idea of Mr. Savarkar, which was bought by Mr. Jinnah at that particular Lahore session. And he first, though it was reported Jinnah proposed it, the first idea was mooted by Mr. Savarkar as per the history textbooks. Next is, NRC is a subject of, citizenship is a subject of union, definitely yes. How some states are opposing? The states are saying that they will not implement it. So many of the subjects, ours is a cooperative federalism. Center cannot implement everything in India. Unless states cooperate, center cannot implement. If the center pushes the states to implement, now let's take Assam citizen register is going on. Who has to implement that? At the end of the day, state government in Assam. So in a cooperative federalism, you cannot ask the union to send all its executive missionaries, come and sit in every state and fill the names in the national register. No. So it is the state governments that have to cooperate. If they do not cooperate, this entire program fails. Now, whatever it is, what are the real concerns today? Poverty, unemployment, growth has come down to 3.5%. Food prices are increasing. Are we talking about it over here? No. Any kind of these registers or identity issues, who they will hurt? They will not hurt you and me, because we are middle class, we have all the identities to prove ourselves as Indian citizens. But what about the vulnerable population? So that's what is the case. Please explain NRC. I have discussed this NRC in detail, Mr. Raju. Now, why NRC for whole country? No, actually BJP has clearly stated in its manifesto it's going to conduct NRC for whole country. Okay. Okay, I think we have spent almost 30 minutes on this topic. It's the time to move on. The next article. Protest and order. So what is this article? Next article is about protest and order. Now it is about section 144 of the Constitution, of the CRPC, of the CRPC. Now sedition laws, it is related to sedition laws, internet shutdowns, all these are related to protest and order. Now let us try to understand. Let's stop the CAA, come back into the mode of protest and order. What are the things? Revision. We are in the revision mode now. Second is recollection through test yourself. What is the third is clarification. Now CAA we have finished. I can see the students. Srikanth, it is finished. Let's go to the revision mode. The next article. So protest and order. Protest and order. Now, Article 19(1)(a), it has given freedom of speech and expression. You also have freedom to associate, freedom of association. So these all articles, you also give freedom to protest. But how the protest has to be? It has to be peaceful. And a citizen and state, let us see their relationship. The citizen has a right to protest. State also has a right to protect the order, ensure the safety of its citizens. Remember, citizen can protest, state can protect the order. So, if the state conceives that citizens' protest is disturbing the order, it can impose certain sections. The most important section is 144. So, 144, it is released by whom? Imposed by whom? Executive magistrate. It means district collector, like these people. Once it is imposed, the people coming in groups, talking, etc. can be stopped by him. So, executive magistrate once imposes section 144, it means that any peaceful protest can be quelled. So, it is a colonial law. It's a colonial provision. So, obviously, 144 is so liberally used. What the Supreme Court said on 144, use it minimally. Unless it is necessary, do not use it. Use it with a reason. It means you shall be able to state why we are using it. Minimal use, use with a reason. And the next, what else? Use it on a real threat, not an assumed threat. These are the three things the Supreme Court has said. Use it minimally with valid reasons, and use on the basis of real threat, not on the basis of assumed threat. Not on the basis of assumed threat. Now, in this context, today the misuse of this section 144, even there is a protest which is peaceful. If you see in Bengaluru, when Ramachandra Guha was protesting, he was put into jail. So, even a peaceful protest and peaceful or a criticism, fair criticism was made against the state. The state is said to be becoming intolerant. An intolerant state will curtail the people's right to protest, which is violation of their Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech and expression. So that's why imposition of Article 144 shall not be arbitrary. Next, this is what is revision. What is the recollection? Test yourself. What is section 144 of the Criminal Procedure Code? It is a provision to deal with the emergency circumstances in India, and executive magistrate to protect the property, life, health of the citizens can impose this section 144 to bring in the order, public order and safety to the citizens. What is motive behind section 144? Why it has come into existence? That's what is explained in the provision itself. How it is being misused. Just at a click of a mouse, even for a small protest, they are using the Pasupatastra, the biggest weapon which is available with them. Now, these are the issues. Now, the third is clarification. Fire your questions now. Now, GRE magnet, we stopped this. We went into next part. Shivakumar, we stopped this. Srikant Ramadi, UAPA Act is same as section 144. It is against Article 20. So now, remember, UAPA is much draconian. Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is much draconian compared to section 144. The section 144 is just to quell a group of people who are protesting or who are disturbing the public order. Unlawful Activities Prevention Act is to fight organized crime, terrorism, etc. It is not to disquell the disturbances to the public order. There is two different things. They are very different from each other. Hope you understand that. Now, let's go to, I think, there are no more doubts on this article. I am moving to the next article, Srikant. Now, Nagamani, what is sedition law? So, sedition law, it means if you are trying to raise antagonism or displeasure or anything like kind of that towards the government of the day, government can impose the law, sedition provisions of IPC against you and can fight with you. Now, the next. So, impeachment in United States of America against Trump. The next topic is impeachment. Impeachment. Let's go back to the next topic. Surya Teja has asked a beautiful question on the previous thing. In USA, right to protest is a fundamental right. So, if it is implemented that in India, what will be the consequence on the patriarchal bargain between state and the citizen? Right to protest given to a citizen obviously will shift the balance towards the citizen. In USA, right to protest was explicit, but in India it is implicit, and Supreme Court of India has clearly stated that a peaceful protest is in the ambit of the fundamental rights of the citizens. Now, are there any restrictions on section 144? Only the restrictions that are the Supreme Court. It has to be minimally used, reason has to be applied, and the next, based on the real threat, not on the assumption. This is what has been said by the Supreme Court. Now, let's move to the impeachment against the US President. Trump cards in the impeachment deck. What is this article? So, let's go for the revision of these articles on impeachment of United States of America's President. What is that? So, there are two houses in US Congress, House of Representatives, Senate. We have House of Representatives and then we have Senate. House of Representatives and Senate, which is the most powerful office. The upper house is the most powerful in the United States of America. Who can start the impeachment proceeding? House of Representatives, it has to levy the charges. What are the charges levied against the Trump? Abuse of power, obstruction of Congress. Abuse of power, what did he do? There is a person called Hunter Biden. Joe Biden is trying to contest from Democrats. Hunter Biden is his son and he is doing some business in Ukraine, or he is employed by some company in Ukraine. He wanted to dig him out so that it can be used against Mr. Joe Biden in elections. Joe Biden was the vice president during the Obama era. Next is obstruction. He told to the witnesses and also to various people that do not respond to the subpoenas sent by the Congress. That way, obstruction of the Congress work and abuse of the power. Well, it is passed today by the House of Representatives. Speaker Nancy Pelosi has to send it to the Senate. Nancy Pelosi is waiting. Why? She has to gather the enough evidence, and in the Senate there is a lot of majority for the Republicans. So in Senate, Supreme Court judge will sit and he will conduct the trial, and after that it will be voted. 2/3 members of the Senate has to support that, then the President of United States of America stands impeached. What are the grounds to impeach the President of United States of America? One is bribery, if I am not wrong, treason, high crimes, misdemeanors. High crimes and misdemeanors. But what are the high crimes and misdemeanors are not explained in the Constitution there. Bribery, treason, high crimes and misdemeanors. These are the grounds. And today, as Senate has the majority of Republicans, Trump may not be impeached. But however, any president facing an impeachment is a mark on their career. Who are the people who faced that? I think Andrew Johnson, he was the president before Roosevelt. Actually, during the time of depression, when he is trying to take the state control and expenditure, then this particular impeachment was moved. And we have Nixon. Nixon resigned. There was a chance that Nixon can be removed through impeachment. Signals have been sent and he resigned. What Nixon did? Nixon did this. He has started spying on Democrats' offices. That's called Watergate scandal. And we have our famous Clinton. What Clinton did? You know his romantic story. We are good at remembering those things. Now, this is what is about history. Now, this is the impeachment of the President of the United States of America. Now, the next is, let's recollect. What is impeachment of President? What are the grounds for the impeachment? What are the challenges in the impeachment which is ongoing in the United States of America? Look into them, recollect. What are the grounds of impeachment? Who are the presidents who are being impeached? And the next is, what is the procedure for impeachment? Just recollect from the explanation. Now come to clarification. Talk about the clarification. Has any US president been impeached? Harsh Patel. No Harsh. No US president was impeached till date. If he may not get impeached, Srikanth Bawage, why did they take this initiative? Now, at least people will know what he did, right? When impeachment proceedings are on, the entire world will have its attention on Mr. Trump. Is any Indian president impeached? Sai, no. And the toughest majority is required to impeach the President of India. It is 2/3 majority of the total strength of the House independently in both houses. Tell me about Watergate. It's not Watergate, Nagamani. It is Watergate scandal. So what happened is that Watergate building, the Democrats' offices were there. He has deployed some FBI officers to spy on to those particular people. That's what is the Watergate scandal. How impeachment process of US different from India? In USA, the impeachment process can start only in the lower house. But in India, it can start either in the lower house or the upper house. Lower house or upper house. And there in the House of Representatives, simple majority is sufficient, Srikanth. But here, 2/3 majority is required independently in both the houses. That is what is the thing. Right? Can I move on to the next article? Srikanth, Nagamani, Sai Kumar. Can we move on? Harsh Patel. As I am trying to move on. Next is Target Skill India Mission, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. These all are factual points. I don't think these need to be covered. Bearing the brunt of slack laws. This is about labor laws in India. There is a criticism of the labor laws. Now we are moving to the next article, that is the labor laws in India. Get back to the labor laws article. We are passing out of the time. It's already 8 o'clock past 3 minutes. Now, bearing the brunt of the slack laws. Absence of regulation. Now, today we are in the era of globalization. Do you agree? Are we in the era of globalization or not? There is a fight between capital and labor. Both are means of production. Do you agree? Srikanth, do you agree? Capital and labor. Don't you think both of them are means of production? Yes. Now, in the globalization, it is becoming imbalanced. Capital is getting greater priority over labor. So that's why, to attract the investments from various countries, we are relaxing the labor laws. Now, if you take in Telangana, the labor laws are being relaxed to such an extent, self-certification, States do not want to interfere in the implement or else regulation of the labor markets. They want more and more flexibility. So, but India is consisting of mostly informal labor. Most of the sector is informal. These informal labor do not enjoy any safety nets. If you see fire accidents in Delhi, who are the people who are succumbed to this poor working workforce? There are no safety nets. Informal sector is all about flexibility. You can hire them, fire them, you can determine their salaries, you don't need to pay their EPF, anything. So flexibility is maximum in informal sector. 90% is informal sector. Now, but formal sector, what these investors talk about? Too much of rigidity. But too much of dilution of these laws ultimately is leading to a challenge. So, labor welfare is essential in a country such as India, which wants to move towards strengthening its manufacturing sector. So, if manufacturing sector is strengthened and capital is over prioritized, it will lead to labor unrest. If you see in Manesar Maruti Industry Factory, labor unrest was seen few years back, and RTC employees went on strike, and the state has dealt with them with a high-handedness. These are all the things. Now, I think I will close with this article as we have passed the time. Any doubts on this? Srikanth. Let's move on to the next article, black money. I think this is the last article I am going to cover as we have passed 8 o'clock, 6 minutes. So this session is for 1 hour. I have another session of current affairs at 10 o'clock. So I need to prepare some slides for it. Now, let's stop it over here. The final article which I am doing here is that is black money menace. There is an article which has come up. Now, to understand this article, see carefully. What Prime Minister Modi in his election campaign in 2014 said? Crores of rupees of Indians was stationed in Swiss banks. I will get that money out. I will fill 15,000 rupees in every bank account of the poor person. Hope you got. So I will get that money back to you, and then I will ensure that that money gets into the accounts of the poor people. Is this the promise or not? And then in the first term, he appeared taking a severe and strict action onto it. There was a lot of rhetoric on the black money. Even demonetization is said to quell the do away with the black money in Indian economy. So first term of the Prime Minister Modi revolved around the black money. So then what are the steps taken? Before going into that, let's understand what are the outcomes of the steps taken. Indonesia, it has collected 25 lakh crore rupees. Remember, it's I think wrongly printed in Hindu, I am doubtful. It might be 2.5 lakh crore rupees. So it has collected so huge money by offering amnesty, tax amnesty. Liberal tax amnesty policy, and through persuasion, Indonesia was able to collect so much of money of its citizens stationed abroad. How much did India recognize? Collecting, keep it away. How much it was able to estimate, recognize? Estimations were set in lakhs of crores. How much was how much was stated officially today? 12,500 crores. Now, what the government is doing? It says, we will create the tough laws, we will put them behind the bars, everything. So if you take the Finance Act in 2016 when Jaitley was there, it was amended. Income tax officers were given tremendous powers. They can arrest you. So you have to prove that you did not, evaded the tax. The burden is being shifted from the inquiry officer to you. What does that mean? If he files a case against you, then it is your liability to prove it. It is your liability to prove it. So, don't you think it is huge power which was given to this particular person, officer? And the next point is, what is the percentage you have to pay? 60% is the penalty. Now, tax amnesty, when it was given, you shall encourage the people to pay that particular taxes. Under the tax amnesty, when you keep that amount to be paid was so high, people try to take that risk. Okay, let me face the music. What is the reason? Why the people do not fear? The reason is enforcement directorate, tax officials, income tax department. What are the conviction rates they are bringing in? Enforcement directorate 1%, income tax department 2%. So when such a low conviction rate is there, will the people willing to pay so much of the tax, 60% of the money? The tax amnesty has to be proper. So the author, remember one point, Nani Palkiwala's statement I gave you from this article, what did he say? In a country, the trust of the people in their government that it is going to act bona fide in their interests is the biggest economic wealth, the biggest national asset. And fiscal system shall not be just legal, it also shall have legitimacy. It shall not just be legitimate, it shall not just to be legal, it also shall be legitimate. Legitimacy has to be there. That is what is the beautiful statement. It means you cannot get the taxes collected from the people through the pressure of loss, the pressure of arrest. You have to provide for the necessary environment for these people to come out and pay the taxes. Okay, this is what it is. So this is the Black Money Menace article. We have other articles also. Should government exit Navratna companies? I will quickly do this. BPCL. Now this is a debate which has come up in the newspaper yesterday. Now full stake sale, asset sale we call it as, is happening in Navratna. How the disinvestment policy in India has come up during the era of Vajpayee. Arun Shourie was the disinvestment minister. And I think there was also disinvestment commission by Ramakrishna, if I am not wrong. Now Arun Shourie, what was the policy when disinvestment was took? First PV Narasimha Rao, then it was hastened during the Vajpayee era. What was the reason? So whatever we disinvest from the public sector, that money has to be brought in and used to revive the certain companies or to make certain global giants in the strategic sectors. Strategic sectors like oil. And we do not disinvest in profit-making companies, and we do not sell the we do not have the strategic sales. Strategic sales means where we lose the managerial control. This is what has been told to us or not? Now today, why a Navratna company like BPCL is being sold? The government needs money. Private sector is almost, it's kind of silent. It's not making any investments. And the next is economy is biting the dust, seeing the ground. So in such circumstances, someone has to take the steps to revive the economy. Then where the government shall get the money? It wanted to pluck it from RBI. It wanted to pluck it from SEBI, take it from SEBI. Now it is trying to take it from PSUs. Now the government needs money to fill their fiscal deficit targets. So it's like you are selling your assets, Navratnas, to make certain revenue programs, welfare programs. Yes or no? Are you doing anything to increase the industrial environment? Why normally disinvestment is done? There are two major reasons. One is efficiency. We conclude that private sector is more efficient than the public sector. How private sector is efficient? Tell me. So there is a beautiful word used in this article by Mr. Ram Mohan, T.R. Ram Mohan, if I am not wrong, that is called survivor's bias. In a private sector, a company fails to perform, it will die. It will die. But it is not in the case of the public sector. It is not in the case of the public sector. In the public sector, government keeps feeding. If you see what happened to our Kingfisher Airlines, private sector, it is unable to perform, died. So who are visible in the private sector today? Indigo is visible. But Air India, Maharaja is still alive. We are feeding it. So when we see Air India and Indigo, when they are compared, we have given so much of money to that Air India, why it is still existing? So this is what is called survivorship bias. In public sector, failed companies survive for long due to the amnesty from the government. In private sector, there is no such a greater twist. There is no such a a greater help which the private sector is getting. So in this context, private sector is more efficient than public sector in a given size, in a given volume is a myth. There is no empirical evidence to that. And the next, if you want to sell off Air India, how will you determine its prices? When you are making step-by-step sale, how will you determine it? When you are doing it step by step, obviously price discovery, what is the real value of that, will be easy. Now when we are selling all the assets at a single go, price discovery becomes very difficult. So you can develop the capital market by investing the company or releasing the company's shares in stock exchanges. That leads to capital market expansion in India, rather than selling the entire assets. But government is quick. It wants to realize as much as money possible. Now government has no more money. Growth is stuck. And the money coming from RBI or from the SEBI, it will not be sufficient. So the money which was there with SEBI, also the government claims onto it now. So this is what this article is about. Now I think I shall close it. Climate inaction, justice for Rohingyas. So I can, International Court of Justice, please read about this. Now there are few articles which I have to revise. I think it is the time I shall stop this. Already 16 minutes we are over, and next week I will try to take it. Thank you very much. I have a small announcement to make for you. Any Telugu student, if he is there, at 10 o'clock there is a live class on the current affairs every day. And second, we have started the Kalam program. Every day we will make you to write an answer, and we will also give you necessary answer script. In the YouTube by 9 o'clock, even today, by 9 o'clock there will be explanation of that answer on live. So please write the answer. Please write the answer. Write the answers. So if you write the answers, we have a dedicated team to correct those answers. We're also starting a new website called civilsbuddy.com. It's on research phase to provide you a comparison sheet vis-a-vis the toppers of the thing. So this is in a nutshell. And thank you very much, Srikanth Ramadi. And thank you very much. And you asked very good questions, Srikanth. I'm very happy about it. And to an extent, there are certain students who have asked really good questions. I think rather than asking for the questions just openly, we will revise, we will make you recollect, and then we will clarify your doubts. So the things will be systematic. From next week onwards, on Saturday morning itself, what are the topics which we are going to revise, make you recollect, and clarify your doubts? Those will be announced to you. Once they are announced, it can make a big difference, so that you can also prepare and come. So every day, I think you Law Excellence students are getting daily handout. So deep handout, core handout, all you are getting. So on Saturday, please keep them revised and ready. So you will have whatever the points you did not understand. You can also quote the page numbers and that particular thing and tell me that so that I can explain it, so that we can happily read those handouts. And today also a handout will be presented to you. The gist of the editorials which have come up in Hindu in the last week from 16th to I think 21st, those all editorials will be there in the notes. Please read that notes. It is very simplified, provided as a gist to you. And all the best. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Close చేయండి.